Okay, hold it right there. Hold it right there. You're in sales. You need to know what you're doing that's going to give yourself confidence. And one of the most exciting things about it is that when you exude confidence, it's like you own the attention. But how do you do that? Now, when you are presenting and you're talking, just remember every sentence that you speak has to have a definitive ending. It can't be like the kids who speak and they say things like, I was going to go to the mall the other day, and they end it like it's almost a question, okay? And they're expecting you to say, yeah, that's not basically what we're doing. What you need to do is command the attention of the person you're talking to. This is called confidence. Now, as I've stated in the past, confidence is when you totally know your point and you know your product so that you can speak on it and answer any questions that come up, whether or not they are viable questions that are designed just to question you or to question the integrity of your company and your product. So, for example, if you were selling a military contract and you realize that you are a small company up against a mammoth size competitor, and you know maybe that the Small Business Administration allows for a certain percentage of large businesses to take contracts from smaller companies. You will know this, and you'll be able to convey that. If a person were to ask you, no matter what you're selling, because there are so many different kinds of sales. Now, I'm talking again to people who have a one-on-one relationship with the customer. I'm talking about people who are in any field of sales, and they want to build up their income to at least six figures. That's why in my system called the six-figure selling system, that's the whole idea, is to get you up to at least $100,000 a year and then go up from there. But remember, if you don't employ the system, the plan most likely will not work. Because you have to look at it this way. A system is really nothing more than a set of procedures. It's like when you get into your car, you have to follow the correct procedures just to start the car. And to move the car, there's another thing you have to do. So when you get into, let's say, most modern cars today, you put your foot on the brake pedal and you start the engine with your key, if you're using a keyed car. And as you start it up, you close your door and you put the car in gear, maybe reverse, and then you proceed to back up before you move forward. You have to put it in drive. And you have to be willing to stop the car to motivate from each position. This would be considered a system, but it's really nothing more than a series of steps, a series of procedures. When you're using the six-figure selling system, you think of it like starting a car. It's very simple. Beginning the sale is like turning the key. You're prepared to use the steering wheel, you're prepared to use the brake, you're prepared to put the car in the gear that you want it to and move it forward. So once you're moving forward and you are driving, you obviously, if you've been driving for a number of years, you have the confidence of driving on the road. You don't sit there and feel insecure driving because you know what the laws are and you know what the roads do and you know what the physics of your automobile is. You can feel it after a while. When you're doing sales, it's the same thing. It's learning a system. What are some of the things that we talk about so that you can learn what the six-figure selling system is all about? We talk about how to talk, meaning how to approach what it is you want to say. We learn about a little of body language, like keeping eye contact, how you sit, how maybe you mirror the position of your customer, that your prospect that you're selling to. Maybe they're sitting there with their arms crossed. That doesn't necessarily mean they're blocking you. They could just be making themselves comfortable. That doesn't mean you have to cross your arms, but it could mean that you feel casual and you sit down and you don't show any outward signs of aggression towards what looks like their defense stance. So when you are dealing with the six-figure selling system in business, this will propel your sales. There are so many things When you take the workshop, the six-figure selling system, you're going to learn what it is that you're going to do. And if you join the whole program, we will go through all the different trainings of every type of sales situation you might run into, whether it's high technology, selling to aerospace, selling to, there are people, believe it or not, that run disposal companies. Do you know that a disposal company that goes around with the trucks and they pick up the trash often have salespeople? Why would they need salespeople at all? They would need salespeople for a number of reasons. Because a lot of them do commercial accounts, and the commercial accounts just don't show up at their door. Somebody has to go talk to them. You ever heard of buying insurance and not talking to a salesperson at some point? If you're dealing with the internet and you're ordering it over the internet and you're filling out forms, you're dealing with a person who has to handle your information on the other end. And that's what I'm talking about. There's always a person engaged. There's always a person between you and the prospect. When the sale is made, the key to the sale is what you do after you've made the close and signed and sealed and delivered the product. Because that could mean the difference between you being a professional and you being just another salesperson that comes and goes. After all, a lot of the products that we sell are competing with other companies that sell similar products. And we have to know what the difference is between us, what the costs are, how it breaks down, and how to explain it to a customer so that the customer can understand the bite-sized pieces of what we're doing. They understand on little, tiny pieces. They don't understand entire concepts at once. The whole idea is to build them into a concept. So they like the idea because there isn't a person who buys anything without some form of emotion. In fact, almost everything we do in life has some tie-in to the emotions of the human body. That's just the way we are. So when you are talking to a person, you want to get to them on a slightly emotional level, but not to the point where you're beating them over the head. You want them to overall, at the end of your presentation, have a feeling of comfort, of relaxation, a feeling of safety, and a feeling that they can trust you. Because one of the things that is the most important thing is you should not be in sales if you don't have integrity. You have to be 100% honest. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you again to stop right there and do not move forward until you are sure everything you do you believe in and it's completely honest. There can't be any tricks. There can't be any surprises. It has to be straightforward. And it's perfectly okay to deliver some of the bad news that goes along with it. Like, yes, we can deliver, but we have to have it inspected before we deliver, for example. Or we can definitely accomplish this goal, but after the goal is accomplished, we have to do a quality control check to make sure everything is to your liking. And you have to keep building. And these things are hard concepts for some people because they don't realize when they're talking, they're just a talking head that's just yammering on, and they're trying to inform a person instead of presenting information that the person will want to hear. I'd like to know how you can save my company money. Great. I have a great idea for you. In fact, that's one of the best things about my program. I can save your company money. And if we could sit down, let me show you on a piece of paper, and I'll show you all the different things that we do. Would that interest you? There's another point of getting micro yeses in your conversation. That's where you ask a question that might be so minor that you don't realize that you're actually manipulating the conversation. It's asking if you can go ahead. I have something I want to explain to you. Can I continue? Sometimes people will do that because of the fact if the person says yes, you're engaging them in a positive movement forward. And that's the whole idea. Keep moving forward. Now, we never give up. Professional salespeople never give up. It doesn't matter how big, how monumental the obstacles are or the competition. We never give up. We keep going back and we keep chipping away until we find that sweet spot that gets us in the door and gets us to where we want to go. So, for example, when you're dealing with anything that has to do with a point, you want to get the conversation moving in a direction so that you make your point and that you do it with a great deal of professionalism. Professionalism in identifying with the customer, in presenting yourself in a confident way and knowing your product, and explaining the value. Because a lot of times when a person's asking a question, how much does it cost? They're not trying to challenge you. They simply just want to know, how much money am I going to spend? And when you come to that conclusion, that I've got a great piece of information for you, I've got something really important. Since you brought up the cost, I'm glad you did. This is the best part of my presentation. And we're going to guide you in ways that you use your own personality, because every one of us has something special about ourselves. We all have talents. My talent might not be yours, but your talent could be the one thing that you use that nobody else has. You can do it like nobody else can. And you all have something that you can use. What I do is I spend time with each one of my students and I show them how to bring out their own persona and realize what value they have with that particular talent that they might possess. And a lot of them don't even recognize it because they don't have the confidence to know that they're selling themselves in a way that they could examine and analyze what they're doing through the eyes of a person who sees the value in it. It's like subjective art. I can look at a piece of art that sells for $13,000 and compare it to something that sells for $29 and not know the difference. But if I'm an art collector and I'm going to find out what it is, the person who's selling me has to be able to explain to me what it is I'm looking at, even if I'm a sophisticated collector. And that person is going to win me over if they can explain the value. Plus, there's systems I've taught at art galleries on how to get people to buy when they say, I have a house full of art, I have no room. These kinds of objections are so easily overcome. The point together that I want to make with my system is that it's not an investment for you to make money from. It's for you to go ahead using your own career to excel and hit the top of your field. It's a training. It's a workshop so that you learn how to be the better you. Now, when we're dealing with this kind of thing, remember, just stop for a minute and don't push yourself forward until you are ready to proceed with confidence. I'm going to carry this forward when we get into my next workshop, so please join me and register for the 6-Figure Selling System, and I will see you there.